Hello, friends, and welcome back to Elegantly Unhinged. And if you're new here, I am so glad you joined us. I don't know about you, but it feels like it has been forever since the last episode. It's only been 2 weeks, but man, those 2 weeks have been downright draining. But I am very happy to be back with you today on the eve of school starting and the return of something resembling a structured life. For a lot of us, me included, back to school season can feel almost like a second new year. It's a chance to get our post-summer shit in order, figure out routines again, and reset before fall arrives, which, by the way, is my favorite season, and I swear it brings with it this energy that I can feel even before the temps start to change. So in the spirit of all things back to school, today I want to talk about the syllabus you never got. Because almost every major stage of life comes with some kind of instruction manual. School gives you a literal syllabus. New jobs come with onboarding. Pregnancy has what to expect when you're expecting. New parenthood has approximately 9 million books. Oh, and strangers who are eager to tell you what you're doing wrong. But perimenopause and menopause, well, you might get a pamphlet about hot flashes, a recommendation about carrying a portable fan, and a vague shrug suggesting this is simply what happens to us lucky women as we get older. Meanwhile, your hormones, body composition, sleep, and nervous system are undergoing one of the biggest curriculum changes of your adult life, and nobody handed you the reading list. There was no friendly warning that the exam may include waking up at 3 a.m. for absolutely no reason, feeling inexplicably furious about the sound of someone chewing, it's happened, or realizing that the nutrition and exercise habits that worked beautifully for you 20, even 10 years ago suddenly seem to have stopped returning your calls. So we show up to this stage of life expecting the old rules to apply, and when they don't, we assume we're the problem. We feel like we must have lost our discipline, need to eat less, exercise more, or nail the perfect supplement regimen that our Instagram algorithm insists is waiting for us. But what if you were not feeling a body you used to understand? What if instead your body has entered a new course and nobody gave us the damn syllabus? Now, before we get into the curriculum, I want to name something that feels true for me and possibly for many of you. The end of the summer isn't just new backpacks, earlier alarms, and the premature appearance of pumpkin spice everything, which I don't mind. But one of my neighbors already has Halloween decoration on their door. It's still August, people. But this is also when change tends to show up, whether we invited it or not. Maybe your kid is starting a new school, maybe one just left for college or a gap year or a life across the ocean. And your house has a new kind of quiet that you're still learning to live inside. Now, this has been a season of real change for me. Some of it I wanted, some of it I absolutely did not. And I've had to accept that a new chapter does not wait for me to feel ready. It just starts, and we have to figure out the story arc as we go. Now, you may be carrying your own version of everything is different right now, but you don't have to figure out the entire chapter before you're allowed to care for the woman who is living through it. So wherever you're landing as we head into fall, a chapter you chose, one that chose you, or simply the seasonal itch to reset, this episode is for you. Okay, so let's begin with what is actually happening in our bodies during this next course of life. So perimenopause is where we'll start. And that can begin years before your final menstrual period. During that time, estrogen and progesterone don't simply decline in a nice, orderly line. They fluctuate, and sometimes they fluctuate dramatically. 1 month, things may feel relatively normal. The next, your body acts as if someone changed every setting while you were asleep and then lost the password. And these hormonal shifts can affect menstrual cycles, temperature regulation, mood, sleep, cognition, appetite, and how your body distributes fat. I know that last one's really rude. Then there are the changes associated with aging itself. Gradual muscle loss, changing activity, less restorative sleep, and more stress. Precisely when our tolerance for 17 simultaneous emergencies starts to decrease. Now, many women in midlife are managing children, aging parents, relationships, work, money, and the realization that they may no longer be willing to spend the second half of life doing everything that everyone else expects. Because that is a lot of curriculum. Now, research suggests that menopause transition is associated with shifts in body composition, including a greater tendency to store fat around the abdomen. Again, rude. But this is important because menopause does not flip a switch that automatically destroys your metabolism. Body weight and metabolic health are influenced by overlapping factors: hormones, muscle loss, sleep, stress, activity, genetics, food, and the circumstances of your actual life right now. So no, it is not all in your head, but it is also not a biological sentence declaring that your body is doomed after 40, I promise. Your body hasn't betrayed you, but the conditions affecting it have changed. And unfortunately, your body did not consult your 5-year plan first. Now, when conditions change, the answer isn't necessarily to push harder. It is to learn the new material. So let's talk about lesson 1. Safety is the prerequisite. Now, in the last episode, we talked about the idea that safety is a nutrient. Now, it's not a nutrient in the way that a vitamin and a mineral or a macronutrient is, but it is a foundational biological input. And when your nervous system perceives ongoing threat, your body prioritizes protection. Cortisol and adrenaline mobilize energy, attention narrows, digestion and recovery become less urgent because survival comes first. That response is useful. The problem is when the alarm never really shuts off. And again, if you want to learn more about that and safety is a nutrient, we talked all about it in the last episode. Estrogen interacts with systems involved in mood, cognition, temperature, and stress. Meanwhile, sleep may become more disrupted, recovery may take longer, usually does, and stress may affect your appetite and digestion more than it once did. Then we pile modern life on top: work deadlines, teenagers, aging parents, relationship changes, financial pressure, the family group chat, and a to-do list that reproduces while you sleep. That's how mine feels. Because women have been trained to interpret overwhelm as a personal efficiency problem. We buy a new planner or multiple ones. We create stricter routines, eat less, exercise harder, and tell ourselves we need to get our shit together. But you cannot skip the prerequisite and jump straight into advanced metabolism 101. Okay. If your body is chronically underfed, underslept, overstimulated, and overextended, another punishing health plan is not going to create safety. And no lie, I have been feeling all of these so heavily recently. The good news is that you don't have to eliminate every source of stress before your health can improve. If a completely stress-free life were required, none of us would graduate. But regulation has to become part of the curriculum. Now, can you move through stress and find your way back? Give your body consistent fuel. Distinguish an actual emergency from a thought marked urgent panic immediately. Identify what requires action and what you need to stop carrying. Those are all questions to ask. And before asking, how can I control my body? What we really need to look at is what conditions would help my body feel more supported. That question changes the entire course. Now, your first tiny assignment before making a new rule is take 60 seconds and ask, what would actually feel supportive right now? Not impressive, not disciplined, supportive. Then do one small thing, even if it's sitting down to drink your coffee instead of answering emails like the building is on fire. Okay. So now let's talk about your core curriculum. Because if this stage of life had a required curriculum, what would actually be on it? Not 37 rules, not a color-coded wellness routine requiring a private chef, though that sounds amazing. A cold plunge, that does not sound amazing to me. And a sunrise none of us requested. Well, I would start with 4 core subjects. So we're going to talk about Unit 1, which is protein and muscle. Now, muscle supports strength, mobility, insulin sensitivity, bone health, and the ability to keep doing the things that make your life feel like yours. Beginning around midlife, we have to become more intentional about preserving muscle. That means resistance training, adequate calories, getting enough calories is what I mean, and protein throughout the day. Not saving 12 almonds and a sad chicken breast for dinner and calling it high protein. Start by including a meaningful protein source at each meal. Eggs, Greek yogurt, fish, poultry, tofu, lentils, whatever works for your needs and preferences. And you don't need to turn every meal into a macroeconomic summit. Just ask, where is the protein? And muscle, which we've talked about before, is not merely about looking toned. Muscle is retirement planning for your body, an investment in the woman you want to be at 60, 70, and beyond. Now, your assignment for Unit 1, choose the meal where protein disappears and then give it an anchor. Add Greek yogurt, make the shake with protein powder, have eggs with that piece of sourdough toast. One protein-forward meal repeated consistently beats one perfect Tuesday, followed by 6 days of chaos. Okay. So let's talk Unit 2, which is fiber and blood sugar stability. Next on the syllabus, we're going to talk about how to have steadier blood sugar and get those fiber-rich carbohydrates. Because midlife is not the time to become terrified of carbohydrates. I see so many clients who avoid carbohydrates because they've either been told to do so or they're just scared to eat them. And this is the time to choose them intentionally. So not to be terrified of them, but to choose them intentionally and pair them well so that you can fuel yourself consistently. Vegetables, berries, and other fruit, beans, lentils, oats, nuts, and seeds support digestion, the gut microbiome, cholesterol, fullness, and steadier blood sugar. Now, we do want to pair those carbohydrates with protein and fat, especially if they're not fiber-rich carbohydrates. So again, we want to pair those carbohydrates with protein, fiber, and healthy fat. So Greek yogurt with berries and walnuts or flax seeds, eggs with vegetables and toast, salmon or chicken with vegetables and sweet potato. So we've got a lot of protein and fiber in those meal suggestions I just mentioned. Okay. Now again, this doesn't have to be anything magical. We also don't want it being punishing. And skipping meals all day, then becoming ravenous at night is not a moral failure or proof that you have no willpower after 7 p.m. It is simply biology completing the assignment you gave it. For this unit, make one meal easier before you need it to be easy. Okay, so that means prep those overnight oats for breakfast the next morning. Wash the berries beforehand. Buy the damn bag salad. It's okay. Healthy, nourishing eating does not have to be elaborate. The goal isn't impressive meal prep. It is one fiber-rich option for nights when your decision-making capacity has left the building. Okay. Unit 3, sleep and recovery. Now, sleep is not the elective that you get to drop because your schedule got busy. Sleep affects appetite, glucose metabolism, mood, recovery, and next day decisions. Unfortunately, night sweats, anxiety, changing cycles, alcohol, stress, and the sudden 3 a.m. arrival of every concern you've ever had can certainly all interfere with getting quality sleep. And this is not another place to blame yourself or chase perfection. No, we cannot always control how much or how well we sleep, but it is a reason to take sleep disruption seriously. And that means create consistent cues, protect time in bed, and reduce what you know makes sleep worse. Talk with a healthcare professional if symptoms or insomnia keep interfering. Now, a sleep-deprived body may need a walk and an earlier bedtime more than the hardest workout on your calendar. Recovery is not what happens when you stop working towards your goals. It is how your body adapts to the work. So your assignment in this unit isn't to engineer perfect sleep. It is to create one signal that the day is ending. Dim the lights, put your phone down or on airplane mode, and cool the bedroom. Cozy socks if that's your thing, although as a woman who sleeps hot, I find that mildly threatening. But doing those things that help your body get ready for sleep. Just give your body one consistent cue that it no longer has to manage the day. And for Unit 4, we're going to talk about stress load awareness. Now, this unit may be the one that nobody has really taught us about before, or at least taught us well. Stress management is usually presented as calming activities. Meditate, take a bath, buy a candle that smells like a forest where nobody needs anything from you. And those sound lovely, by the way. But realize that sometimes the better question isn't, how can I calm down? It is what keeps dysregulating me. Is it a schedule with no margin? A relationship where you're always managing someone else's emotions? A workload designed for 3 people? Standards you no longer believe in? A body you criticize every time you pass a mirror? Now, deep breathing is important, but it's also important to know that you cannot deep breathe your way out of every circumstance. Sometimes regulation means changing the circumstance, setting a boundary, canceling the obligation, or admitting the system isn't working. Sometimes it means eating lunch before answering the email or calling it quits for the day before you check off everything on your list. I know that is really hard to do, but sometimes it is what is called for. Because stress load awareness means noticing where your energy goes and whether all of those places still deserve access to it. Choose one thing dysregulating you more than it is worth and do the uncomfortable thing. Say no, ask for help, reschedule it, let someone be mildly disappointed. You do not need to overhaul your whole life this week. You may simply need to remove one weight before you add anything new. Okay. Now, every good course has office hours, and this one should too. You do not have to figure out perimenopause by yourself. You are allowed to ask questions and discuss treatment options, including menopause, hormone therapy, when appropriate for your history and symptoms. You are allowed to ask whether disrupted sleep, mood changes, heavy bleeding, painful sex, urinary symptoms, heart palpitations, or changes in your cycle deserve a closer look. You are allowed to request a meaningful conversation rather than accepting, well, you're just getting older as the entire treatment plan. You are also allowed to build a support team, perhaps a primary care provider, gynecologist, menopause specialist, dietitian, therapist, coach, or strength professional. No one practitioner needs every answer, but somebody should be willing to listen, and if you feel dismissed, seek another opinion where you can. You are the person living inside your body. You are not an inconvenience for wanting to understand what the hell is happening to it. And here is the permission-giving portion of today's syllabus. You do not have to ace this. There is no valedictorian of menopause. No one is handing out a scholarship because you ate the most protein, slept 8 hours, and maintained a regulated nervous system while remembering everyone's passwords. That's a good day, right? And if there were a menopause valedictorian, I feel pretty confident she would be exhausted and probably slightly annoying. Some weeks you'll complete every assignment. Other weeks, the homework is breakfast, water, and getting yourself to bed. That counts. You aren't being graded on how gracefully you move through a major transition or several stacked on top of one another. The goal isn't to control every symptom or optimize every corner of your life. It is to understand your body well enough to work with it instead of constantly fighting it. And that requires curiosity. Asking yourself, what has changed? What helps? What makes things harder? What support do I need right now? Those questions are not evidence that you are failing. They are evidence that you are paying attention. Now, before we close off, here's your quick syllabus, because I don't expect you to remember all of this while driving, carpool, or folding the 9th load of laundry. Okay. 1, safety first. Ask what would feel supportive right now. 2, protein at meals, especially the meal that you're likely to skip. 3, fiber and steadier blood sugar. Make one nourishing choice easier for yourself. 4, protect sleep and recovery. Signal to your body when the day is ending. 5, notice what's dysregulating you and remove one weight before you add anything new. And 6, you do not have to ace this. Some weeks the win is just showing up for yourself in some small way. That's it. That's the whole syllabus. Okay. Now, nobody handed you this syllabus before. Most of us arrived in midlife carrying advice designed for a younger body and a version of life that may no longer exist. So consider this your first day of class. You already showed up, which honestly is more than half the battle. And whatever this season holds, a kid leaving, a new beginning, a chapter closing, or the ache of watching life change, I hope that you'll be gentler with yourself than the old syllabus taught you to be. Now, your first piece of assigned reading is my free guide, 10 Foods That Feed Your Nervous System, Not Your Stress Response. And I will link that in the show notes. It gives you 10 practical foods, why they help, and simple ways to use them without a detox, punishing reset, or complete personality reorganization. And if you know another woman or person who keeps wondering why the old rules no longer work, send them this episode. Maybe they need the reminder too that your body has not betrayed you and you have not failed the class. The conditions changed, the curriculum changed, and you are allowed to learn as you go. And that's all I have for you today, folks. Until next time, friends, regulate first, nourish well, and stay just the right amount of unhinged. Thanks for listening.